Well, good afternoon. I think we're going to get started with the presentation while you're eating, so feel free if you need to get up and get some more to eat or some coffee, just get up and help yourselves. Again, I want to welcome all of you for coming out on such a lovely spring day. I don't know if this is better with the snow or last year when it was in single digits out here. It was pretty cold. But again, thank you all for coming. And I just want to thank Light of Hearts Villa and the administrator, Brianna Cavalier, for the use of the hall. This place is just a great place to have an event, and they are always so accommodating here, and Light of Hearts is just one of the jewels that we have right here in Bedford, and we appreciate what they do for us. And a special shout out to Brett Holycross and his team for the delicious food we had today from Cerna's Cafe and Catering. He does a great job down there. And I just have a couple of people I want to introduce. I want to start out, break protocol a little bit, but I want to start out with my family first, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be up here. Without their support and kicking the behind now and then to get going, they've helped me through my whole political career here, and I really appreciate what they do for me. First, we have my son, Jason. And my mom, Jean. She's here in spite of wearing a boot with a broken foot. And in 3 weeks, she's going to be 92 years old. Yeah. Still sharp, still living on her own. It's great. Thanks, Mom. You're the whole reason I'm here anyhow. And of course, the love of my life, my best friend, and my wife of 50 years, Marilyn. Love you guys. Just a couple dignitaries. I could spend all day introducing everybody here, and we truly appreciate all of you being here and what you do for the city, through your businesses and through our residents for supporting us over all these years. We're just so grateful for what you do for us. But I do want to mention from our Bedford court, we have Judge Brian Melling. Long time friend, back to grade school, I think. And Clerk of Courts, Tom Day. And two of my brothers in arms, Mayor Fletcher Berger from Bedford Heights, and Mayor Vic Kalova from Garfield Heights. And Annette Blackwell, Mayor of Maple Heights, couldn't be here, but I'll tell you, between our four cities, we just work so great together, because the success of one of their cities is a success for our city, and vice versa. And we work together almost daily on trying to help each other. So I appreciate you guys for being here. It means a lot to me. And but I want a special welcome to our really special guests, our residents, the folks that just come out today to hear what we have to say. And thank you for being here and your support over all the years. And new this year, we're being videoed, and it's a live feed to YouTube. Not live? It'll be on later? Okay. So we have we're going to be videoed, so when you're really bored, you can revisit it and see what we had to say. But it's hard to believe this is my 7th State of the City address. And I just want to give you a brief overview of what to expect this afternoon. I will say this, the state of the city is good. Thank you for coming. Maybe, yeah. I knew that. Shortest speech in history. But seriously, I'll say this: we are in good. Our finances are good. Not great. You know, we're not independents where they just have buckets of money to throw at stuff. But we're working towards getting healthy, and our bottom line is getting better all the time, thanks to our great finance department. And with that, I want to introduce our finance director, Frank Gambosi. And our law director, John Montello. And of course, our city manager, Mike Malice. And the newest member to our team, our new clerk, Tracy Simons. She's doing a great job in just a few months, so we appreciate her hard work. But as I said many times before, we're blessed with some of the best minds and hardest working employees anywhere. Sorry guys, but we got them. Are we perfect? No. But day in and day out, we truly have great people working for our city. I thank them for their dedication and service. A few of the highlights of what Mike will be talking about more in detail this afternoon cover a wide range of topics. And some of the reason I'm so optimistic about 2020. From Simon's Supermarket on Rockside, yes, Simon's is opening. I've said that for 2 years now, but he is opening. Mr. Hussein himself was laying floor tile, trying to get this thing moving along, so they are gonna open, hopefully sometime before summer. And there is and will be new development along Rockside and Northfield. The past year, council passed legislation to change the zoning there from retail to mixed use. And this has already spurred changes in the old Meadowbrook shopping area. The Walmart has been purchased, a new business is already working in there. Most visible is the new and beautiful Mazda dealership on the corner of Rockside and Northfield. Great job over there, guys. The state has opened the Bureau of Motor Vehicles in that area, which is amazingly busy. There may soon be a new business at Rockside and Bartlett. Talks are going on as we speak today. A new restaurant will be opening up in the old Applebee's. And finally, after a great many years of stagnation, that area is on the move. And it's about time. And we appreciate what you guys are doing for the Mazda and all the other people up there. San Bernardo apartments in the former convent on Broadway are progressing, and the main building will be opening this year. The retreat house on the lower level is finished and residents are moving in there. Excelia Pharmaceuticals, guys, thanks for being here, is growing and hiring more people and adding a new product line. As I said, Mike will get more into the specifics about the growth in Bedford. The Bedford Downtown Alliance with Heather Rhodes and with her at her side, helping to revitalize downtown Bedford and helping to bring business and interest down along Broadway. And especially coming up this Saturday is the chocolate walk in downtown Bedford. Chocolate, I'm in all the way. I already have my tickets. And it's a lot of fun. See Heather for details or for tickets. Fun stuff to do in town. And they have plans for all year long. Great job. First Fridays, right? It's good stuff. As I said, well, and then our revitalized recreation department, doing many fun and interesting things for the youth, adults, and seniors. Just drive by and you'll see a lot full of cars and a building full with activity. Thank you, guys. As I said, we are not perfect. The last thing I want to mention was a dark episode in our government concerning theft in our water department a few years ago, but I believe it has become a positive for our city in the way it was handled. Back in 2016, it was discovered that something was not right in our water billing. As soon as that was found out, our administration did not hesitate to do what was right. They immediately called in the police, the county prosecutor's office, and the state auditor's forensic accounting people. They, with council support, stood back and let the investigation go where it led, good, bad, or ugly. And we would live with the results. The two individuals in question were immediately terminated, and after a lengthy and exhaustive investigation, the two persons were indicted, tried, and convicted on felony charges. The city received back the money that was stolen. New accounting protections were put in place, and at no time was any resident or business, their water was always correctly billed. Our administration team was commended by the state auditor's office for the quick and decisive action that was taken and the cooperation they received from our city. It further reinforced my faith in Mike, Frank, and the others employees that assisted. They are truly the kind of people the council and you, our taxpayers, can be proud of. Thank you, guys. And looking to the future, Mike will share with you an exciting plan to enhance Willis Street. And after so many years of just trying to protect jobs and not cut services for our residents and businesses, it's great to be looking at some new ideas. And before I get to Mike, the people that help us get these jobs done is our city council, and I want to commend them for their hard work. We have Ward 1, Sandy Spinks. Ward 2, Wally Janutis. Ward 3, Vic Fluharty. He's also our vice mayor. Ward 4, Paula Mezak. Ward 5, Heather Rhodes. And Ward 6, Don Saunders. I tell you, I think Washington could learn a few things in how to operate the government from our council here. We don't always agree, but we get along and we do the task at hand, and we do it for the betterment of the city, not for one person or another. It's always for the betterment of the city, and I'm proud that that's the way these guys work. And with that, we have two former members of council here I want to welcome back. Marilyn Zalata, former Ward 3, and former Ward 5, Greg Pozar. Thanks for coming down. Now, Mike, if you want to introduce your administration and get us going on the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not one to stand in one place, so I hope I don't mess some of this up. Thank you. Real quickly, before we get started, I do want to acknowledge, as the mayor's already did, each and every one of you for coming out today. We really appreciate the support, and we have a lot of good and exciting things to talk about. When I was sitting around and I'm trying to come up with our presentation and working with our staff, looking at all of the things that we've accomplished over the years, specifically in 2019, and looking at some of the things that we have planned moving forward, understand, none of that happens, none of that takes place without the team that we have within the city of Bedford. And that is a term that we've used since 2014 and even beyond, and that's team. Everybody has a unique skill set. And I want to start by acknowledging our team at City Hall. And it starts with, as Mayor mentioned, our Finance Director, Frank Gambosi, our Service Director, Clint Beller, our Recreation Director, Aaron Fatch, our Fire Chief, Dave Nagy. Unfortunately, Chief Stempel was unable to make it, but we have our Deputy Chief, Rick Sutz, present. Jennifer Kuzma in our Economic Development Department. And Michelle Hollow, my administrative assistant, who does a fantastic job. She's coordinated this event today, so thank you. I appreciate that, Michelle. Well done. And we have our building commissioner, Calvin Beverly, in place, so thank you. Again, as we go through some of these items, and there's too much to read, all of it, it will be present online. It will be videoed, as was mentioned. Take a look at it. None of that happens without this team, and I'm extremely grateful and appreciative for their efforts, and that trickles down to the staff that's in place as well. As I mentioned, getting into our fire department, which is led by Chief Nagy, I do want to acknowledge our former assistant chief, Sean Solar. Sean retired last month, and I want to acknowledge him and his efforts that he brought and his commitment that he brought to the city of Bedford for over 20 years. He was an asset to the city, and we wish him well in wherever it takes him. He's going to do great, and again, well wishes to Sean. With that being said, I want to acknowledge our new assistant chief, Dan Dopsloff. Stand up, Dan. Dan has been with our department for over 25 years. Actually, I believe he was sworn in right before Chief Nagy. Tremendously qualified, has a vast knowledge of the fire department, the ins and outs, and at the end of the day, he is an absolute true professional, and he's going to do outstanding in his new role. Dan, we look forward to joining the team and having you continue and staying in the city of Bedford. So look forward to it. Well done. You know, there's a lot of things that we could talk about. You see some of our numbers and our staffing. You know, we're at 27 line firefighters. I think the most important number that you see there is the 93% of them are certified paramedics. And why that's important is you look at our calls for service. In 2019, we did see an influx in our responses, but you look at that third item below, 79% of those calls were advanced life support rescue squads. You know, 93% trained in that field. We have some of the best around. I know Mayor mentioned that, and I will, reiterate that. The training that our staff goes through is imperative. And to be able to have figures like that, to have our staff trained like that, it is beneficial to every single resident and business in the community. You know, looking at some of the things we did last year, obviously we've implemented our crews to receive up-to-date information, which allows them to be more prepared as they respond to those each individual calls. All of our ALS squads and our engines are equipped with almost getting close there, are equipped with the cardiac monitors and Lucas devices. And I want to acknowledge Bedford UH Hospital. These items are located in our vehicles and fleet, donated. These pieces of equipment were donated by Bedford Medical Center. And I don't know if Robin Rowell is present today. She was going to try to make it, who is the president of Bedford UH. I personally want to stand up here and thank you, Bedford Medical Center, for providing those pieces of equipment. Absolutely, that partnership is imperative and obviously much appreciated. Round of applause for you, Bedford Medical Center. Thank you. Looking at some of the things, we do have this coming Tuesday at a council meeting, we are doing, we have some moving parts. We talked about retirements. We talk about some of the challenges. We're going to be promoting a new individual to a lieutenant position. We're also hiring a new fireman. So there's challenges that come through, when we're bringing on staff and having moving parts there. And we're going to get through that. We're going to continue to explore grant opportunities. You'll hear throughout the presentation today all of the different grants that we've received. A lot of what we do and we're able to accomplish is because we have the staff that goes after every amount of dollar possible. If it includes upgrading our vehicles, getting equipment, Bureau of Workers' Comp grants for extensive training. All of that is important, and we're going to continue to look for more of those items. The one thing I do want to point out, which is extremely exciting, a couple years ago, Chief Nagy came to the administration, and obviously we have an aging fleet. We need to come up with a plan to address that. We're in a much different place today than where we were 2 years ago. But we analyzed it. I'm also going to acknowledge someone in the audience today, Pat Goody. Pat, member of our fire department, obviously oversees all of the maintenance and fleet, along with our mechanics at the service department, do a great job. They put together a plan to upgrade our fleet, and I'm very appreciative of City Council of supporting this plan. At the end of last year, they approved over $1 million in purchase, which will bring, as you can see here, currently being fabricated. We're going to bring online Engine 13 and Squad 18, 2 new pieces of fleet that's going to replace a 2002 and 2007 piece of equipment. It is imperative to put the resources in front of outstanding employees so they can better do their job. And I think as residents, we should be very excited for these 2 pieces of equipment to come online. Look for them. We anticipate receiving them, I would say, by the first half of this year. So the effort and the time that's gone into it from our fire department, Pat, the mechanics, and led by Chief Nagy, well done. I think this is all positive things for the city. So round of applause for the department. Getting into our police department, obviously as a result of the 2017 income tax, we brought on 3 additional officers. We are currently fully staffed at 34 police officers. I do want to mention that last year there was a little bit of challenges. We had a couple of different retirements, we had a resignation, and we had 5 injuries. And that makes things difficult. We did complete the infield training for those. And again, as I mentioned, as of right now, we are fully staffed. I do want to mention Lieutenant Stask. Mike Stask is joining us from the police department. Mike oversees our detective bureau, does a great job, and we appreciate everything he brings to the table. We are looking at one thing that I want to commend Chief Stempel for. Bringing on the additional officers is one thing, but we really looked at our operations as a whole. We restructured some of the responsibilities, and we reallocated some of the administrative duties. What does that mean and what our actual goal was? It is to have more officers on the road, patrolling our neighborhoods, having more of a presence, and I think that can be seen right now being fully staffed. That is one of our primary goals. Earlier, you'll see up here, earlier last year, we had the unfortunate passing of our one canine unit. Canine Mike unexpectedly passed away. I will say Canine Mike and Sergeant Fudo, during his short period on the department, Mike actually saved the girl's life and helped us make multiple arrests during his course on duty. And that wouldn't have been possible without the Bedford Auto Mile Association. So I want to thank that group as well for providing us that resource. Since then, we have brought on a second canine unit, Luca. Luca is currently on patrolling, and we are taking the steps to replace and bring on Mike's replacement. So the goal is by halfway through 2020, we will have 2 canine units on duty 7 days a week. And that is a vital resource. I want to mention Deputy Chief Sutz real quick. For those of you that don't follow the police department on social media and some of those media outlets, he's the guy that brings comic relief to some challenging times. He does a great job. If you're not following that page, start following it. He does a great job communicating with our residents, giving the facts. We all know, I'm a firm believer, most of what's on social media, odds are you got to take a step back. It's probably not true. Follow. The facts will come from that individual. Rick, you do an outstanding job. I appreciate that, and I know the residents appreciate that too. So well done. Real quickly, I know this is a program we started a few years ago, but I want to stress the importance of our Safe Passages program. You see that quote at the bottom, and this is in regards to addiction and the opioid epidemic that is plaguing, honestly, it's plaguing the nation. But any community that tells you it's not happening there, they're lying to you. Sarah Lloyd is a member of our police department. She's actually our records clerk. She has just been promoted to the chief secretary. Sarah brought this program to the city and has really taken it and ran. And what it does is, we're here to try to help individuals who are struggling with addiction. If there is somebody, if you know someone, have them contact us. We cannot arrest our way out of the problem. That's not how you solve it. We need to work to get these individuals help. Safe Passages is an opportunity to help them, and well done to the police department, especially Sarah, for continuing the program and offering a resource for the public. So thank you for that. Looking at our 2020 goals, obviously we want to be more involved out on the street, more visibility. I want to commend, once again, both our police and fire departments. Many of you may not know, this goes in and out, so I'm just going to start talking loud. Many of you don't know that we spend multiple days a month in the schools. Our officers, our firemen, we're having lunch with the children. We're engaging with them. That is imperative. We want to have positive interaction with the youth of our town, and we want to make sure we build those relationships. We're also going to continue looking at funding and grant opportunities. Jen Kuzma worked with Chief Stemple earlier this year, and we're able to secure a radio grant for upgrades to radios. And we also, once again, you'll hear this, it's common, the Bedford Auto Mile Association. Bedford Auto Mile Association provided funding to install, when it's all said and done, over 30 cameras along the Broadway-Rockside corridor. Why is that important? Is those cameras are directly fed to each and every one of our cruisers. They're directly fed to City Hall, and we will have up-to-date monitoring. If there's a call, we can track it. They're license plate reading cameras. And again, we're looking at this as a pilot program. And to start a program at zero cost to the city with the generous donation of the Auto Mile is great. It's a great resource, and we're looking to continue implementing that. As I meant, well done to the Auto Mile. Touching base on our service department and public works, obviously I mentioned it's led by our director, Clint Beller, but I also want to acknowledge our superintendent, and that's Sean Francis. Many of you know Sean's a worker. He's got look at that. Sean puts in a tremendous amount of time, and I'm grateful for that. I know he gets my calls and my texts sometimes, and I'm sure he's rolling his eyes. But those two individuals do an outstanding job. And I'm not going to read through the list of everything we do. I think it speaks for itself. Our 37 employees, road repairs, sewer repairs, water department. Over the last 2 years, they've worked to completely transition the holiday lighting to LED, parking lots going to LED. We have a really small group. 37 seems like a lot. It's not. Spread across service, water, and wastewater. What they accomplish day in and day out is tremendous. And I appreciate the leadership from those two individuals. You look at some of our projects we completed this year, when you add it up, it's over $1 million. We had a major bank stabilization project that we actually, we weren't planning on it. We had to address it, and we did. We brought back our road program, and we've done sanitary sewer maintenance, sidewalk programs, a lot of different things that's taken place. The item on the bottom is very important, and I actually had to check, and I talk about, Frank and his expertise, and Frank loves spreadsheets, okay? Loves them. I actually had to check it the other day because it didn't seem right, and he's able to track, being a master meter community, we run our own water department, okay? For an older municipality, we have old lines, hydrants, valves, we're able to track, you're gonna have some loss. There's gonna be breaks, things like that happen. And I remember former city manager Bob Reed used to tell me, listen, you gotta be somewhere around 75%. If we're billing for 75%, that's good. If you get below 70, you got a major break somewhere, you need to address some things. Our number is at a 20-year low. And that is, we're over 84% in collections of what's being utilized. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens by those two guys sitting over there, and I'm gonna mention John Sokolowski, who's in charge of our water department. We do things every year. We sound the system. We fix those breaks where they're located, changing out hydrants. 84% is incredible, and that's a great job with your leadership. Well done on that. You look at numerous grant awards. I talk about the road program, the sidewalk program. These things were cut back, if you remember, in 2007. There was the downturn in the economy. Bedford faced some of our own challenges. We're bringing these things back. Another thing that we brought back, we haven't planted trees in, I know it sounds like a small item, but those are those little things that really make a community. They make them welcoming. Jen worked with Clint and Sean, and we were awarded a grant last year to start planting over 100 trees to increase our tree canopy, and we're going to continue to apply for those fundings and continue to do that. We have a lot of trees that have to come down. They've been infected. You have the ash borer disease. We've taken them down for a decade. We have not replanted because it was an item cut out of the budget. Last fall, it was put back into the budget because of those three individuals over there, and we intend to continue that. So well done going after those grant dollars. Thank you. We talk about our plan on infrastructure for the future. We got some very, very exciting news here. We talk about our street program and having to reinvest that money, and we brought it back, and it's $400,000 a year, exactly what we said we were going to do. I'm standing here today, and I want to thank City Council and Frank. It's our intention to nearly double that investment every year going forward. This year, we're going to put in close to $650,000 in road repairs. We're going to keep doing that. We are going to continue our sidewalk program. We're currently working off of a $2 million 5-year plan that our city engineer, and Joe, I want to acknowledge you, Joe Chuney's here, who is our city engineer from the GPD group. Joe has put together a plan for us that we've been working off of, and it's continuously reinvesting dollars to make necessary improvements. I'm also going to acknowledge both Clint and Joe, who actually spearheaded negotiating, and you can see on here plans for Broadway Avenue. Broadway Avenue is an ODOT road, okay? We've been kind of pushing ODOT for a few years now as far as the deterioration of that, as far as the increased truck traffic. ODOT's initial response was they didn't believe there was increased traffic due to the highway project. Obviously, we disagree. Joe and Clint kept pushing that. And we met with ODOT earlier last week, and I'm happy to say that you have to understand ODOT works off of a 5 to 6 year plan. Initially, Broadway was not planned, nothing was planned for Broadway until after 2026 and beyond. I'm happy to say that today, because of those two gentlemen, ODOT is planning a complete Broadway resurfacing in fiscal year 2023. That means it could start as early as June of 2022. And that's imperative. And that is corp limit. That's not a section. That is the entire Broadway strip all through town. What's important about that is it has to get done. That is the earliest we could get that scheduled. And I say that for one other reason. We have a 1930 water line running through the heart of downtown Bedford. It is not proper planning to have Broadway repaved unless we address that. That's on us. So we are immediately going to start planning for the engineering and planning to replace that section of the water line, which is running through the historic district, in 2021. This puts us right in line with ODOT coming in to resurface Broadway in 2023, or sooner if it starts in the fall of 22. Joe and Clint, I appreciate you guys pushing them. Getting that bumped up is not easy, but that's a huge win for Bedford. So thank you for that. Nice job. Going through this, we're continuing to build out a GIS system. We're continuing to pressure Cuyahoga County to address some of their county roads. All of these things, we have the right people in place, and we're actually seeing results. So this gives you a little idea as far as some of the work that our crews do in-house, the large-scale projects that they perform. At the end of the day, saves us a tremendous amount of money. Well done leading that department, Clint and Sean. Mr. Fatch, and I want to acknowledge our Assistant Director, Mike Callahan, in our Recreation Department. I think if you haven't seen it and you haven't seen our informational guide that's gone out, this has been 2 years in the works. I think people tend to think about Parks and Rec as, well, baseball, the pool. These gentlemen came on board with the full support of our administration. They knew where we wanted to take the Recreation Department, and what went out earlier this year was evidence of that. What is available to the public is 5, 10, 15 times more than what was available 3, 4, 5 years ago. A lot of hard work went into that. We had a lot of renovations that took place at the Ellenwood Center. The goal was to be more welcoming, to offer programs for moms with little ones, teens, seniors, adults, yoga class, art classes, painting classes. All of that is being made available now. And I had someone mention to me the other day when they drove down there last Tuesday, they couldn't even get a parking spot. That does not happen overnight, and you guys are doing a tremendous job. Sarah Gennadi's joined the staff, tremendous job. Stop in there, see what's available. I guarantee you this is not the Recreation Department of 2 years ago, of 3 years ago, of 4 years ago. And one of the things, and you can go through and see a lot of what we're offering and what they do. A lot of things that we stressed on, and Aaron stressed on this when we actually came in and we first met. It's about relationships. He has built relationships with Jumpstart for various youth programs, with the Alzheimer's Association, with the Cuyahoga County Senior Services, with UH. We talk about UH. UH has a walking club there. All relationships. So I implore you that if you have not stopped down there, if you haven't had time to meet these two individuals, there's great things happening. We talk about the Bedford Downtown Alliance. For those of you that may not be aware, they put on, and we partnered with them, Mike and Aaron, a movie night on the Commons. It was something different. And we had almost 400 people down there playing a movie on a giant screen, and that's community. It's things like that that make a community. And to bring the department where it's been, awesome job. And I want to give them a round of applause because we stress, and we talked about that quote at the bottom, that little bit of progress each day is going to end up with big results. And I don't think anybody expected to see what we're seeing now. So well done, guys. Well done. Our building department, one of our smallest departments. We have 5 full-time employees, led by Calvin Beverly, extremely knowledgeable. We're performing inspections if it's residential inspections, rental inspections. We're out on commercial projects. All of those things are done internally, and they bring a lot to the table, Calvin and his team, and outstanding. The one number I think is important, and I always look at it every year because it really shows you some of the investment. You look at this number on the bottom. You know, we've issued permits, both commercial and residential, that total over $25 million in improvements that have been made into the city of Bedford last year. A lot of work. I know it's a lot of work for them. But again, as a city, we're extremely grateful for those businesses making that investment, as well as the residents. I know they're jamming. Calvin, I appreciate your effort and your staff. Well done. One item I do want to mention, you see back here, and it was finally, Jen and Calvin partnered last year, and we were able to get a grant, about $450,000 roughly, for demolition. It was the last round of demolition funds that were available. We were able to secure that funding. We demolished the former Moonglow site, and we're closer to begin marketing that property. We've taken down multiple residential abandoned homes, and we're also working with the Bedford School District to provide funding that will assist in the demolition of St. Peter's Chanel. Talk about Frank, and you know, I joke with him. Frank and I sometimes we have our fun arguments, and we go back and forth, and he thinks I'm crazy about an idea, or where are you going to get the money for that? And Frank is great, and I think everybody knows that. And Frank, you don't come across someone too often that, you know, he wears his emotions on his sleeve, but his heart is in the city of Bedford. And it's been an honor to work with you, Frank. You do a great job. I know you said you wanted to stay for another 7 years. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Thanks. as he shakes his head no. But no, Frank keeps us all in line. You see our numbers back here. You know, as the mayor said, we're pushing that needle in the right direction. We're building our reserves back up, and that is absolutely important that we concentrate on doing that. Before we really get, you know, let's do this, let's do that, we need to take that into consideration and plan for the future. The mayor mentioned, and I do want to reiterate, I know he went into specifics regarding the water investigation, but I want to commend Frank and commend Clint. You know, those were the two individuals. Actually, Clint was the first one that contacted me and told me to sit down. I am so proud of how we handled that situation. We dealt with it head on, no matter what the outcome was. We were as transparent as possible, and at the end of the day, we recouped what was missing, and those individuals, there was justice. So thank you for that. I'm proud of how it was handled, and again, well done. Frank, as you see all our numbers, you know, our ratings with Moody's and Standards & Poor's, being self-insured for the last 25 years has saved a significant amount of money. 29th consecutive year we've received an award from the GFOA. That's something else that, listen, that doesn't happen on accident. It happens because of the guy in the batter. Okay. Happens because of the guy in the back in the blue shirt is absolutely on top of things. So Frank, well done. Tell your staff, well done. Much appreciated. Moving on to economic development. Again, Jennifer Kuzma. Jen joined us about 2.5 years ago. I always say it was a coup. Jen worked for Cleveland Heights for over 20 years. The mayor knew her before I did. Her reputation speaks for itself. Getting her into the city of Bedford and believing in Bedford and believing in our team has proven to be nothing but positive for our city. She does a tremendous job. The other item up there you see is, what else she brings to the table, is she's also executive director of the Northeast Ohio First Suburbs. So when one of our departments, or if we're thinking about a crazy idea, she knows where to go to get the answer. She knows who to call. She knows, you know what, Parma got that radio grant. Let me call Parma. That's how we got the radio grant. Tremendous member of the team, Jen. Appreciate all your efforts. You'll see some of the things that are taking place as far as development, as far as investment in town. Excelia, appreciate you being here today. I was laughing, Cheryl May, I think it was in 2015, and when we first sat down and knew of the purchase, there were 4 people at the site. That's how many employees they had. And we said, we're gonna get there, we're gonna get there. Your investment into our town and your commitment is greatly appreciated. And you see where they're at. Each and every year, they're adding employees. They added 62 employees last year. They're moving forward as far as developing phase 2, and that includes the development of a state-of-the-art bag line system that there's hopes of bringing that online in 21. I understand, I've been in that buildings. I understand the amount of hard work that goes into that. I want to acknowledge Sandra Torres, the general manager. Sandra, thank you. Much appreciated. There are at that site, there's the entire site. There's one other business that's there, but you know, they're approaching 300 employees. And where we were in 2014 to where we're at today doesn't happen, again, by accident. And I appreciate you believing in Bedford. We talk about partnerships, relationships, what they're doing, relationships with Greater Cleveland Partnerships, Jobs Ohio. They're bringing individuals, not only to Bedford, but the region. Those are the individuals they're employing that's joining their team. And we're excited to see where it's gonna lead to. We're always here to be a resource if we can help you. And again, thank you. I want to much appreciation. Again, the Bedford Auto Mile, and I'm going to actually ask the president, who I consider more of a friend than a acquaintance. Bill Klinaris is with Mazda. Again, someone else whose heart is in Bedford and whose heart is in the Auto Mile. It's that individual right there. If there's something that we yes. If there's something that we need, you know, he'll be the first one to step up and ask you how can he help and how can the Auto Mile help. You could see what they've invested in Bedford over the last few years. You could see the additions. You know, we had construction at Acura, Alfa Romero, Hyundai, Kia, and again, Mazda. And you see by the rendering there, and simply drive by. We're going to refer to from now on as the mixed use district, and we appreciate council supporting that plan. That was 90 acres. I think that's the largest rezoning that Bedford's done in over 60 years. And it's taken an abandoned shopping center, and what we're seeing is growth. And again, I'm going to acknowledge Bill and his partner, Jerry, in the back. Jerry, stand. You got to wave, Jerry. There you go. I mentioned this to some folks last year. When you went up there 2 years ago, it was a ghost town. And nobody wants to be that first person to jump in a pool and not know how warm the water is. These guys committed to buying property, to putting millions of dollars into that corner. And you know what? The water's not that cold. And we got a business in the Walmart facility. We got business going across the street. As the mayor mentioned, we are probably in the final stages of seeing the acquisition of 12 acres at Rockside and Bartlett. Those of you that know it, there's been a sign up there for 25 years. It's close to being purchased, and there's going to be another new building going up there. We're in the final stages of a sale of the former Target footprint. There would be plans to put a building there. And the city of Bedford last year finalized the acquisition of the former YMCA. It's not our intention to keep the Y, but we've received offers, and I'm very optimistic. We'll be presenting an offer to City Council on Monday, which will move another professional office space into that location. It will allow a business to grow and it'll allow a business to increase jobs. And I'm a firm believer is that doesn't happen without those guys back there being the first ones to say, you know what, we're going to go there because it's a good spot and we believe in Bedford. You'll see the mayor mentioned the Ohio BMV, the Title Bureau. You know, when you add it all up, there's over 200 new jobs, new to the city of Bedford, that have relocated to that area, and we're confident there's going to be more. So again, Bill and Jerry, I truly appreciate your guys' investment there. We have a guest here tonight as well. I want to introduce Mike Barrett. Mike's sitting right there. I told you I was going to not let you off the hook. Mike came to us about a year ago, actually it might have been 2 years ago, and you know, he wanted to be in Bedford. He wanted to be here. He saw some things happening. We were fortunate enough, and Jen was instrumental in working with Mike, who acquired the former Mr. G's Tavern. Mike is going to be, it's happening right now, they're completely renovating that building. He's going to be relocating his insurance brokerage firm here, and we hope that he's going to be, you know, in the space in the first quarter, if not the first half of 2020. You know, Mike has seen developments like across the street with Data Basics and some other things. And again, someone that's wanting to invest in our community, and Mike, I appreciate it. I truly do. We talk about new construction. The building we're in right now, City Council and the Planning Commission approved a large addition that's going to be built in 2020. It's going to be an expansion of Light of Heart's memory care unit. It'll actually be right over around the side there. We talk about the villa. Mayor Kochi mentioned, you know, the retreat house is currently being occupied. There's a large expansion, obviously construction. It was a little delayed last year. It was not anything the city could do to avoid it, but the contractor and the owners worked through it, and we hope to have that opening in 2020 as well. We talk about our initiatives, going after grant dollars. We're investing over $100,000 in energy improvements throughout many of our city-owned buildings. We're looking at street lighting, all of it made possible through an OPEC grant. We talked about the cameras and the resource that it will provide our safety forces. Resources that will provide our safety forces is imperative. And again, working with the local schools and the Bedford School District I want to acknowledge Jerry Zagrabic, the business manager, as far as plans for the 30 acres at Chanel. And I know that was, you know, came into question. They had many meetings, many public meetings. For someone that went to Chanel, most of his family went to Chanel, relative taught there. You know, we have employees that went there. You don't want to see something like that get taken down. But I can tell you, it is absolutely the right thing to do. And if you're involved or get involved, on the school's website, you know, they're having public meetings, they're having breakout meetings to talk about plans and what the public would like to see. Attend those meetings. They're going to be imperative. And whatever we can do to support the schools, you know we're here to do that. Lastly, you'll see our sign initiative. We applied for grant funding again to update all of our city signage, all of the gateway signs, all of our entry signs, wayfinding signs. What you see up here is a couple different renderings. This is actually what's going to be installed once the weather breaks in 2020. We're going to be putting up over 65 new signs all throughout town, all with the consistent look, all a branding of, you know, it's a fresh look. It's much needed for our visitors. That's taking place, and again, Jen did an outstanding job securing the funding for this project through Cuyahoga County. As far as development, you see where we're at moving forward, 2020 and beyond. We're going to continue to work with Excelia. I am also happy to acknowledge, you know, for someone impatient, there's things that drive me crazy when things don't happen. And I know you'll see some of these things we've been talking about. We are very close, and for the first time I can say we have the property owner, we have Cuyahoga County and the city of Bedford, and Jen and Frank are facilitating negotiations with Tinkers Creek Commerce Park. The goal is we have over about 30 acres that's primed for development, and it's been stalled. And it's our intention to structure a deal with all of those individuals to make sure that's not stalled any longer. We want to see new development, and we're very, very close to seeing that. Having everybody at the table is imperative, and hopefully in the next 6 months we'll be able to make a pretty major announcement with that. I don't know if they were able to join us, but the Reyes family, Art of Beauty, are making tremendous strides. They have plans for expansion. Art of Beauty is located in Tinkers Creek Commerce Park, and we're here to assist them with that. Expansion, investment, more employees, all a positive thing. Data Basics, which is going to be Mike Barrett's neighbor over there on Broadway. They have a very quiet business, but they are a huge asset to our town. Many employees. They recently purchased, if any of you from Bedford remember the old Z-Bart building on Broadway, it was looking very, very poor. The gentleman there bought that building with one focus. They really didn't need the extra space, but what they wanted to do is they wanted to tear that building down. They wanted to create green space, create a park, benches, walkways. That's what they wanted to do because they believe in downtown. They believe in the area. And for a business to make an investment like that, it says a lot. And we appreciate their partnership and their drive to make that area improved. A couple other things as we look to wrap up. I want to mention, you'll see some of the slides. We've shared these slides for the last couple years. We outlined a plan to connect to one of our major assets. And 6 or 7 years ago, Mayor Kochi and I talked about, what are our assets that we need to improve on. One of them was the Metro Parks. And we acquired land, and we're working to create a direct connection, not only from Cleveland Metro Parks, Bedford Reservation to the downtown area, but we want to connect that to City Hall and to our parks. And we intend to do that. This is something that the public has expressed they want to see. And this is going to happen one way or another. It's going to be a lot of grant writing. We're going to have to go after a lot of dollars. Jen completed a $1 million request in December of last year. Are we going to get the funds? We'll see. If we don't, we're going to move on and we're going to find somewhere else to apply and go after those dollars. But to do something like this and improve on our asset and connect the Bedford Reservation to our downtown district would be imperative. I'd like to take credit for finding this quote behind me, but I can't. Someone much smarter than me gave that to me. That's Kelly Malice. Sometimes I go home and I can't shut it off. I'm constantly thinking she's listening to these crazy ideas that I have, and when you get to the point where understanding our economy is stabilized, the needle is going up, you can really start planning long term. You can really start planning for 5 years, 10 years. What is going to be the impact? What major project do we want to undertake? And knowing the staff that we have in place, I was reading that and I said, I dusted off a drawing that sat in my office for 15 years. And it was a sketch that I think former city manager Bob Reed had on a shelf, and it was nice, and it was, if we could do it, it's great. I think we're in a position that let's think like that. And Aaron Fatch from our Recreation Department and Jen Kuzma actually took that drawing and they met with architects. They met with a landscape architect and they says, what can we do to better? And what we have is great. Our second greatest asset, I believe, is our historic district. It's a true downtown. But what can you do to make that better? And what you'll see back here is plans that we presented to City Council in early February, which City Council looked at it and said, you know what, let's thumbs up. Let's explore that some more. And you look at it and what it will entail as we look at this You see, you have Broadway Avenues here. We have our coffee shop, our commons, train depots here, the existing train depot. What you have is a complete redevelopment of that parking lot. What does that bring? You know what, it brings much needed green space for families to go down there and play with their kids. It brings an area to sit around in the fall with a fire feature. It's a fountain. It's where kids can go and, you know, run through the fountains that are shooting up out of the water while mom and dad have their coffee. When our service department installs the best lighting in Cuyahoga County, which it is the best tree lighting in Cuyahoga County, when those decorations go up in the fall, wouldn't it be great to sit there and go over to the train depot and get your ice skates and skate? That's long-term planning. This is directly connected into the trail that we have a pending grant for $1 million. This is something that, you know, really leaves a mark on what can we do to improve that downtown. Now, listen, this is nothing that we're sticking a shovel in tomorrow and doing. There's first steps. And I thank those two individuals for actually kickstarting this a little bit. You know what, let's get some renderings. What's this gonna cost? Everything that we have. And on top of that, the exciting part is Jen has already identified 3 separate funding sources that would cover half of this. It is not that big of a long shot, okay? What our intention is over the next couple months, we're going to be talking about this project at our ward meetings. We're going to talk about this project at our town hall meeting, which Aaron and Mike are going to be hosting at the Recreation Center. And we're going to be talking about it at council meetings and engaging the public. We want to hear from you. Personally, I think it is an absolute home run. I think we find a way to do it. And we're at the point, as far as from a planning standpoint, I think it's feasible. You can't hit a home run if you don't get up to the plate and swing. And we have department heads and staff that are not afraid to swing. Are you going to miss sometimes? Sure. But this is something that we need to really work hard to try to make happen. And we welcome feedback for it. We welcome you to attend those meetings and let us know your thoughts. I do want to conclude, and before we open it up, I want to be respectful to everybody's time. As the mayor said, I think our current state is one of extreme optimism. You can see that. It doesn't happen by accident. I'm extremely appreciative of our staff, all of our 150 employees. I'm extremely appreciated for our department heads. I'm extremely appreciated, I know they had to step out, our judge and our court. And most of all, I'm appreciative of every single one of our residents and business owners. Thank you for investing in Bedford. Thank you for believing in Bedford. And I truly am telling you, the needle is going in the right direction. And we say, listen, you're either on board with the train or you're not, but the train's going up. And with that being said, again, thank you for attending today. We're here if there's any questions. If not, feel free to call. But once again, thank you.
All right, good job, Mike. It makes my job easy. He gets to do all the talking. Anybody has any questions about anything? If not, I think it was pretty well covered. And we are really optimistic, and we are moving forward. And again, we appreciate all of you being here. For all you do, and from the bottom of our hearts, thank you.